He said I was too much, too intense, too emotional, said I overwhelmed him. Then the next morning, with zero shame in his eyes, he asked if I'd send him my half of the rent. My name's Brandon. I'm 32, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a copywriter for a mid-sized ad agency downtown. Been working there for 6 years. It's the kind of job where every day feels the same, but the paycheck clears and the coffee's free. So you don't ask too many questions. I've always been a relationship guy. I don't do casual well. I fall hard, love harder. I tend to stick around even when I shouldn't. I guess that's my flaw, or one of them. I met Josh at a rooftop bar 2 summers ago. He was 28, wore round tortoiseshell glasses, and had that soft-spoken, charming type of arrogance that somehow doesn't piss you off right away. He was a freelance graphic designer, all into fonts and color palettes and design systems. Whatever those are, we clicked instantly. I remember thinking, finally, someone who gets me. We moved fast. Too fast, maybe. Within 4 months, he was spending every night at my place. By month 6, we'd officially moved in together. We split the rent on my 1-bedroom apartment in Noda, where we'd argue over Spotify playlists, binge The Bear, and go on Target runs we didn't need just to feel alive on Sundays. He made me playlists. Bought me candles because he said I smelled like lavender and stability. We'd stay up late talking about our childhoods, trauma bonding like it was foreplay. He said he'd never met someone who made him feel so safe. For a while, I believed him. We got into this rhythm. I'd wake up early, make pour-over coffee like a hipster barista, leave him a cup with a sticky note saying dumb things like, crush your deadlines today, or you plus Helvetica equals perfection. He'd sleep in, roll out of bed around 10, and start his work-from-home hustle, while blasting Florence plus the Machine. But then, cracks. Subtle at first. He started closing his laptop when I walked into the room. He stopped leaving his phone face up. Text notifications went from full previews to just iMessage. He wasn't singing in the shower anymore. His laugh, it used to come out like this sharp, sudden bark, got quieter. More forced. I asked if everything was okay, and he said, "You always ask that. It's like something has to be wrong just because I'm not acting like a cartoon version of myself." I let it go. But then he started staying out later. He said he was co-working with friends I'd never met. He'd come home smelling like citrus body wash, not the kind we bought together. Brushed it off, said I was projecting. Real punch in the gut came one night when we were watching a movie. He got a text, glanced at it, and his entire face changed. Like a flicker of guilt he didn't catch in time. I asked who it was. He sighed and said, "You really have to calm down with this. You're too much sometimes. Too much." Those 2 words landed like bricks in my chest. That night I lay in bed next to him, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. My gut was screaming, just didn't know the whole truth yet. I didn't want to be that Geetha, paranoid, snooping, insecure boyfriend. So for a while, I did nothing. I told myself I trusted him, that I was just being sensitive. Maybe I was. In fact, too much. But doubt is a slow poison. You can ignore it for a while, but it creeps. And once it settles in your bones, everything starts to look like a clue. It started with little things. He started putting his phone on Do Not Disturb more often. "I just need to focus," he said. But I noticed how quickly he grabbed it if I walked into the room, or how his laptop screen would dim when I passed behind him. One night, I heard him laughing, deep belly laughing in the kitchen while on a call. I walked in, and he froze, said it was a client. But when I asked which one, he blinked a little too long and said, "You wouldn't know them." I began noticing patterns. Tuesday and Thursday nights, he'd be out late. Always the same excuse. Client meetings ran long. But when I checked, the shared calendar we kept for work stuff, nothing was listed, just empty blocks of time. I asked if I could come with him one night, make it a date after his meeting. He said, "I don't think you'd vibe with my coworkers. It's not your kind of crowd." That stung. Then came the passwords. Josh and I had always been open with our phones. Not in a toxic way, it was just part of being close. I knew his passcode. He knew mine. We'd even use each other's phones to look stuff up during drives. But one afternoon, I picked up his phone to check a recipe, and it had been locked. New code? Why'd you change your passcode? I asked casually. He didn't even flinch. Oh, my nephew got hold of it last week and spam texted everyone. I had to switch it up. That was lie number one. Then came the gaslighting. Classic, textbook stuff. He started twisting the narrative. You're making this up in your head. Just because I'm not glued to you doesn't mean I'm cheating. You need to work on your trust issues. At one point, I apologized. Apologized for feeling weird. Apologized for the pit in my stomach. Looking back, that moment makes me sick. The worst moment came on a Sunday afternoon. I walked into the bedroom and heard him say, "No, he doesn't suspect a thing." When I cleared my throat, he jumped. Said he was on the phone with his sister. Claimed she was planning a surprise birthday dinner for me. My birthday's in August. It was March. Later that night, I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until he fell asleep. Then I grabbed his phone from the nightstand. He had Face ID set up. But I'd seen enough crime shows to know how to angle a sleeping face. It worked. I opened his phone and went straight to his messages. Nothing in iMessage, but then I checked Instagram DMisned. There it was. A thread with someone saved as yes, an actual leaf emoji. The conversation wasn't explicit, but it was worse than nudes. It was intimacy. Inside jokes, voice notes, a meme he'd sent me weeks ago, but he'd sent it to them first. He wrote, "Brandon would never get this one, lol." I froze. Scrolled back weeks. They'd gone to the museum together. That night he told me he had a migraine. He was at their apartment. He sent a photo of his sketchbook on their couch. Then came a voice note from them. "I hate pretending when you're with him. I want you all to myself." And Josh responded, "Soon, he's just a bit attached. He'll be fine." I felt like the air had left the room. The walls pulsed. My ears rang. All I could think was, I was paying half the rent for this man to cheat on me under our roof. I didn't wake him. I didn't throw the phone. Just sat there in the dark, gripping the phone. Watching him sleep like a stranger. That was the moment I knew. He wasn't mine anymore. I didn't confront him the next morning. I couldn't. My body moved on autopilot. I made coffee like usual, left his mug on the counter with one of those little sticky notes I always wrote. This one said, "Some lies are louder than silence." He didn't even react when he saw it. Just sipped his coffee and said, "You." Good. I nodded. Totally. That day at work, I didn't write a single line of copy. I opened a blank Google Doc and made a checklist instead. I was done being the emotional one. The fragile one. I was going to burn it all down. But I'd do it with precision. Step 1. Evidence. I spent that whole week backing everything up. Screenshots of every message with iScreen recorded voice notes, saved timestamps. Even downloaded his photos from Google Drive. He'd sync them on our shared iPad. Turns out, he'd taken mirror selfies at their place. Same hoodie I bought him for Christmas. Same smirk. Different mirror, I wasn't even angry yet. Just hollow. Like I'd stepped outside my body and was watching someone else live my life. 2. The rent. Remember how he had the nerve to ask me to send my half the morning after calling me too much? I waited until the rent was due. I told him I'd already sent it. "Check your account," I said, smiling like a sociopath. Of course I hadn't, but I didn't stop there. I called our landlord, explained everything. Said I was terminating the lease early due to emotional manipulation and unauthorized subletting. She was sympathetic. Turns out she'd been cheated on too. She let me use my portion of the security deposit to break the lease. I packed my stuff slowly, over 3 days, while he was out. Took everything that was mine right down to the garlic press. Step 3. The reveal. I wasn't going to yell. Wasn't going to cry. Was going to document, so I did. I filmed a 6-minute video on my phone. Just my face.com/flat voice. No rage, no tears. Just facts. "Hey Josh, since words are apparently hard for you, here are some receipts I know about. I know about the museum, the texts, the couch selfies. I know I was never the one embarrassing you. You were just too much of a coward to say you were done, so I'll do it for you." I ended with, "Oh, and you might want to check your Venmo. I never paid the rent. Figured since I was too much. For you, you'd want the apartment to yourself." Then I uploaded the video to his shared family group chat. Yep, that family group chat. The one with his sister, mom, cousin Jason, and the aunt who always invited us to Thanksgiving. It was poetic. I left my keys on the kitchen counter, next to a printed screenshot of his messages, highlighted the words, "He'll be fine." When he got home that night, I was already gone. He called. I didn't pick up. He texted, "What the hell did you do?" I just replied, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." And then I blocked him. 3 days later, I got a text from his cousin Jason from a new number. It read, "Dude, that video. Masterpiece." Revenge wasn't explosive. It wasn't loud, but it cut clean. Because the moment he realized he didn't even get the satisfaction of an argument that I walked out on my terms, that was the twist he never saw coming. The silence that followed was louder than any screaming match we could have had. I moved into a sublet in Plaza, Midwood, just a tiny one-bedroom with creaky floors and questionable plumbing. But it felt like breathing for the first time in months. I remember my first night there. I lit one candle a vendor and sat cross-legged on the floor eating microwave noodles, smiling like a lunatic because there was no one there to lie to me anymore. I started therapy the next week, told my therapist everything. About the gaslighting, the emotional whiplash, the shame I didn't even know I was carrying. She told me something that stuck. You weren't too much. You were with someone who gave too little. But that line, man, that one healed something. In me, Josh tried to reach out, of course. A few burner numbers. A couple of anonymous DMs pretending to be checking in. I ignored them all. Then came the email. The subject line was, "I didn't know how to love you right." He wrote 5 paragraphs. Said he missed me. Said he'd made mistakes. Tried to play the therapy card, "I'm working on myself." But the kicker. He ended the email by asking if I'd still consider splitting the last electricity bill. I didn't reply, but I did forward the email to his cousin, Jason, with the caption, "Guess some people never grow up." Speaking of Jason, a month after I moved out, I ran into him at a friend's housewarming. He pulled me aside, handed me a beer, and said, "You know, he's still telling people you overreacted, right?" I rolled my eyes. "Of course he is." Leaned in and said, "He's a joke. Everyone saw that video. My aunt still brings it up every Sunday dinner. You're a legend." It wasn't revenge, not exactly, but it felt like justice. Mutual friends started unfollowing Josh. He posted a vague Instagram story that said, "Some people only want the aesthetic of love, not the reality." I laughed. Loudly. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding. I reconnected. With old friends I'd lost touch with. Started cooking again. Not for anyone, just for myself. I signed up for kickboxing classes. It wasn't about punching. It was about reclaiming my body, my space, my time. And the best part? I stopped checking for his name. No more lurking his socials. No more wondering if he was happy. Truth was, I no longer cared. But life has a sense of humor. 3 months after I moved out, walked into my favorite coffee shop and saw him, Josh, sitting alone. Hoodie pulled up, staring into a cold cup of coffee. He looked smaller, tired. He looked up and froze when he saw me. I didn't flinch, just walked up, leaned in slightly and said, "You still owe me for that garlic press." His face turned. Red, he opened his mouth, then shut it again. I didn't give him the satisfaction of a second glance. I walked away, no drama, no scene, just quiet power. Later that night, Jason texted me again. Guess who called me crying? I didn't ask for details because, for the first time in a long time, I had nothing left to say. And that was everything. If you had asked me back then, the night I first saw those messages, what I wanted most, I would have said closure. Answers, maybe even revenge. But now, I've realized I didn't need any of that. What I needed was distance. Not just from Josh, but from the version of myself who kept trying to earn the bare minimum. The version of me who mistook manipulation for mystery, who confused being needed. With being loved, it's wild. I used to blame myself for being too emotional, too intense, too much. But the truth is, my depth wasn't the problem. His inability to swim was. I'm not perfect. I still overthink. I still sleep with one AirPod. And because silence sometimes feels like an echo chamber, but I don't apologize for how I feel anymore. I don't shrink myself to make someone else more comfortable. Josh taught me that. He taught me what it feels like to carry someone emotionally. Financially, spiritually only for them to call you too heavy. He taught me what it looks like. When someone uses your loyalty as leverage, when someone drains you, then blames you for being empty. But he also taught me how to walk away. He got the apartment, the Spotify playlists, probably the garlic press too, if I'm being honest. But I got myself back, and there's not a single day now where I wish I had stayed. The truth, turns out the best revenge is never needing their apology. If you enjoyed my story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories like this.